Hello, my name is Thomas. Welcome to British Culture, Albion Never Dies. I'm just having some Yorkshire tea, having enjoyed some crumpets earlier today, which I enjoyed very much. I made them myself using a Gordon Ramsay recipe. Very important to heat up the milk, add the right amount of bicarbonate of soda and baking powder, stir it all up, all the ingredients are nice and warm, add it to flour, and then pour into the right crumpet rings, a bit of butter to help it all go. So you get those bubbles on top, and then it's firm underneath, so that when you put butter on it, it should go into the holes on top, but it shouldn't go out the bottom. Anyway, I very much enjoyed my homemade crumpets. As I say, I used the Gordon Ramsay recipe, and I've linked his video in the description below. I've also linked the episode C is for Crumpets, which is why I'm making this video. Back in, I think, July 2021, I started a project, The Alphabet of Britishness, where I asked my podcast listeners, well, something British for each letter of the alphabet. At the time of recording, I'm still going through it, still haven't finished. It is a huge project because, of course, I'm asked to look into things that I've never really looked into. But crumpets, I was on pretty good territory, but I did really want to get into trying to make them myself. Britain is not famous for its cuisine, or at least if it is, not for the best of reasons. There's a stereotype that British cooking is terrible. As I've travelled around the world, 6 years in China, 7 in Turkey and so on, or Turkish Cyprus, I should correct myself, I found that some stereotypes are true. Some stereotypes were true at a particular point in time, and things have moved on, and some are just crazy. They were never true, and it's sometimes quite hard to work out where they come from. So where is British cooking? Well, I think British cooking today is very good, and in fact, whenever I've asked people, so what are these terrible British dishes that you've heard of, very frequently they haven't heard of a dish that's particularly bad, and if they have tried something, for example, afternoon tea, high tea, crumpets are a case in point, people have generally liked them. So they have the idea that British cooking is really bad, but whenever they've tried something, an English breakfast or seafood from some of our beautiful, beautiful port villages, they've really enjoyed them. Was it true at some point? Perhaps during the Second World War, when Britain was being bombed and blockaded and food was rationed, perhaps at that point, British cooking was not at its best. I think that's a pretty harsh time to judge our cooking skills from. But in the Victorian era, British food, the native food as it were, was particularly well known, with Mrs. Beeton's cookbook being very popular. And of course you had foods from all over the world. London was a world centre of trade, and of course the English are associated very much with tea, and I'm drinking some Yorkshire tea right now. Obviously not grown in the UK. It's known as Yorkshire tea, or you have English breakfast tea or Irish breakfast tea, because it refers to the blend of tea that's perfect for the water where you are drinking it. Yorkshire water is very different from water in the south of England or Ireland and so on. It's very, very, very regional. So you have a variety of tea blends. So Chinese tea and Indian tea, well, as I say, it's become part of the British character to bring these things here and enjoy them. Britain really being the centre of world trade in the 19th century. So the idea that English cuisine is bland and terrible, well, we love food from around the world. And I used the word native cuisine. I think that's a really interesting one. Somebody messaged me and said there's no such thing as native English food. It's all too influenced by world factors. I think that's true depending on your rubric for what is a native food. What is native? How native does something have to be? So for example, is Indian food native to India if it involves tomatoes, which are of course a New World food? Is Irish cuisine truly Irish if it involves a potato, which of course is not native to Ireland? Tea in India, well, it's native to China, and it's not even native to the whole of China, it's native to very particular regions. That's why one of my first deep dives was a deep dive into tea. How native does something have to be before you consider it truly native? Again, that depends on your point of view. That's a judgment you make. I think that the traditional foods of Britain are fantastic. I've recently been to Whitby and had some of their traditional old seafood recipes. It was so fresh, it was so good. but maybe Crumpets wins the day today as a great English food. I certainly enjoyed making them, and I'm going to keep reflecting on my alphabet of Britishness just from time to time, and I'm going to keep on working on it. So if you have an idea what C could stand for, this is a topic to which I will return. So you can comment down below, what does C stand for in the alphabet of Britishness? Cheers.